Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another Java tutorial in our Java tutorial series. And in this tutorial, we are going to be covering enumerations in Java. Now, what is an enumeration? Well, an enumeration is a special Java type that allows you to define a collection of constants, and there's many things that you can do with an enum. I'm only going to show you a few of them, but we're gonna you can do so much more with them than what I'm going to show you here. All you have to do is kind of go out on the internet and look around and read about enums and stuff. I'm going to leave a couple good articles in the comments so you guys can kind of get started on that. So, let's get started here. How do we create an enum? Well, we're going to create an enum inside of our main class because it's a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier because I don't want to create a whole separate file just for this. Now, we create an enum by using enum as the keyword here. Keep in mind, if you go and separate your enums into separate files, you're going to have public or private for that matter, but or protected, but we're going to just stick with public for a separate file, but we don't need an access modifier inside of a class. So enum, we're going to call this shirt sizes. Because this is a common thing. If you're making a store that sells t-shirts or sells sweatshirts or something like that, you're usually going to have a bunch of different sizes, and usually you want those to be stored in a constant, and enums are a good way of doing that. So, how do we create these constants? Well, inside of the body of the enum, we just start typing what we want our constants to be, pretty much. So we want small, comma, and we usually separate these into new lines to make the code look a little bit neater. So small, medium, large, extra large, we'll say XL for that, and XXL, and then there's 3XL. Alright, so we have all those different shirt sizes. Pretty neat, pretty cool. And that's how you create a basic enum. You don't need a semicolon here. You're not going to get an error. However, I'll show you an instance where you do need the semicolon at the end of that. But for just this, we don't need a semicolon at the end of the constants list. So how do we use these then? Well, one thing you can do with an enum is you can loop through all the different values. But how do you do that? Well, you would do a for loop, right? You can also do a while loop if you want, but we're going to do a for loop because this is much more simple. Right, so we're going to say we want to loop through every shirt size. So shirt sizes, we're going to call this size for shirt sizes dot values, and values is basically an array of the shirt sizes objects, which represent the constants. And we can go ahead And when we print them out, for example, so system out, print line, right? We can then print out the string representation of them. So size dot toString. And when we save that and then run it, you can see we get small, medium, large, XL, 2XL, and 3XL. Pretty cool. Pretty neat. Works very well. You can also put them in a switch statement. So let's say we have a level, or not level, a shirt size. So shirt sizes, size equals a shirt sizes dot, right? Shirt sizes dot, we'll say 2XL. You can test it with an if statement, just fine. Like if size is equal to shirt sizes dot shirt sizes dot XXL, and then you can print something off like enum in if statement, for example. And then you can do it in a switch statement as well. So we'll say switch and size. And then we have our cases. So case small, case medium, case large, case XL, case XXL, and then yeah, it can keep going on and on for however long you have your constants. So case XXXL, right? We'll say system out print line enum in switch statements, just like that, with a break, and just put a break on everything else. So we do that and finish that up here. And we can also put in a default case. Why not? Just for the hell of it. Okay. We save that. And we run it. You can see enum and if statement, enum and switch statement. Pretty simple stuff. Now, what if, right? What if I wanted to have private properties assigned to it with a constructor? Well, you can actually. Because enums are a little bit like classes, but not quite classes, if that makes sense. So we can have constructors and private properties and whatnot to assign to them. And that's pretty simple here. So we can just say, we'll put a semicolon here. This is an instance where you have to have a semicolon. And then after that, we then go ahead and give our private properties. So I'm going to say private size string. We'll just have it non-initialized for right now, like we normally do with our private properties. And we'll say private, well, we want this to be a string. And we want this to be an int. We're going to say size. Well, actually, you know what? We don't even need the int, because technically, one thing you need to keep in mind is that technically behind the scenes, all the constants have an integer value assigned to them. Right? So we have this. We have our private property. And then we can create our constructor called shirt sizes. And give it a string, size string, this dot size string is equal to size string. You've seen this before. So we have that. And we can also have our getters and setters like we normally would in a typical class. So we'll say public void set size string size string this dot size string is equal to size string. Right, you've seen this before. It's not very hard. String get size string and return size string, just like that. Cool. And there are a few methods that you can override if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. Just keep that in mind. So let's see here. What do we have as an error here? We'll hover over this little bulb here. We'll say, I didn't type string correctly. I mistyped it. Okay, cool. So once that's done, you can see we get errors in all of our constants up here. That's because we need to ensure that we have our constructor called on these. So we'll say in these parentheses it'll be small. And we'll have medium. And large. Extra large. And we'll say 2XL and 3XL. Okay, and we'll go ahead and line up our parentheses here to make it look a little bit nicer. This isn't going to cause any issues. We just want it to look a little bit nicer. A little bit of code styling. So we have that. That's kind of that's another way of doing this. We can still loop through it. So if we go ahead and we say for shirt sizes s in shirt sizes dot values, we still get s dot, we can say system dot out dot println s dot toString, and that'll do just fine. But you can also, with our getter and setter and our private property here, we can say we want a system out println. We can say, oh, we want to print out the string representation that we put into these constants instead of what's in the toString, right? So we can go dot get size string, and it will do that. Pretty neat. So let's say we do that, and we can save it and then run it, and you can see we get small, small, medium, medium, large, large, XL, extra large, XXL, 2XL, XXXL, and then 3XL. Pretty cool, right? Another thing you can do if you wanted to is you could override the toString method. So at override public string toString, and what this will do is we can then go ahead and we can say what the string representation will be when you call toString. toString, to keep in mind, is a method from the object class, and all enums, all classes, everything that's an object inherits from the object class. So this is why we can override toString. We'll say return, and we want size string to be what we return. Pretty simple. So go ahead and click this green arrow. It'll take you to the object class if you go and if you have all the documentation linked and whatnot. Well, actually, it'll take you to the enum class, but still, enums inherit from object. So keep that in mind. So with that, go ahead, save it, run your code again. And you can see in our console, we get what we expected. We get small printed out, we get medium printed out, all of that stuff. So that's pretty much how you can work with enums. Again, there's more ways that you can work with them, but this is just a few of the more notable ones. So yeah, thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.